Welcome back, people. It is episode 28 of season 4 of the Taxi Squad podcast, or 27. Either way, I'm off a week, but we're so happy you're here with us once again. Fun fact, if you haven't followed, subscribed, hit the bell, shared it to a friend, share it to a cousin, what are you doing with your life? First and foremost, I'd like to say happy Independence Day, happy 4th of July, happy Day of Freedom, happy Day of America. We are recording this on July 3rd. You'll be listening to this on the Day of Freedom, so be blessed you're an American. If you're not an American, thank you for joining us as well. We got a fair amount to get into today. We have some strange and unusual talks about people who live in Utah. We do also have some baseball talk, some very early college football rundowns, also NBA free agency and the draft, maybe some soccer, and also hockey. It's the Taxi Squad podcast.
Come on, everybody, celebrate. The Taxi Squad is here today. So lose the blues, kick back and relax for now. They talk about sports and stupid stuff. They'll probably be wrong and it might get rough. So welcome back. It's the Taxi Squad. Yeah.
Vince, how the hell you doing?
Happy Britain Day.
Fuck Britain.
Happy American Independence Day. Happy Ben Franklin Day. Show me that Liberty Bell. Raise that
Thomas
flag
Jefferson
up, baby.
Day.
It was just, we were down 3-0 against England in 1976 and made a miraculous comeback. You thought LeBron going 3-1 against the Cavs and the Warriors and coming back for that was good? Try the American Revolution on for size, LeBron James. It's a great day to be alive, and the first thing I want to say is, and it's probably already happening by the time you're listening to this, but it's a shame. It's a shame that Joey Chestnut isn't going to eat hot dogs today. It's a shame.
It is. It is kind of a shame.
It's
I'm not gonna lie, Vince.
un-American, Mike. It's un-American.
Listen, George Washington beating the Brits, 1776. The U.S. Constitution, everybody was like, oh, bear arms? Everybody has the right to put a pair of bear arms on their wall. No.
Yeah.
That's not what that's about. No.
Oh, damn.
Nobody can misconstrue that. But Joey's Chestnut eating the hot dogs is just as American as Kid Rock,
Right.
Singing next to Toby Keith, even though
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. Toby.
Okay.
Vince, do you know that if you leave a half blown off firework outside your front door, Kid Rock comes and plays you a song tomorrow?
I heard, and he just he yugs back
You know
in
that
old
he-
style.
Do you know that he does that? If you
I'm
leave
sure.
like a full empty case of Busch Light at your front door after the 4th of July, Kid Rock will serenade you the morning after.
I like
It's like
that.
backwards July 4th Santa.
And fill your stockings with extracurriculars, I'm sure. Mr. Kid
Yes.
Rock.
Yes, because Kid Rock. And
Yeah.
that's his name. His name
Party
is
noise.
Kid Rock.
There it is. Yeah, guys, by the way, I got access to a brand new sound effect panel, and it's going to be cool when someone says something, and I'm like, oh! So just be aware about that. That's just going to be a thing that I'm doing periodically these days.
Can you get the ESPN like top 10 noise? Like
I think I can add them, yeah. I mean, I got Glockenspiel.
Oh, man.
And sorry if you're listening to this in your
Wow.
car. It's got to be like really goddamn loud, so I'll be able to figure that out as well. But hey, man, if it sucked
It's the
before,
Taxi Squad podcast.
if it sucked before, it definitely sucked there. But yeah, I will be using those liberally. Get moving
Hey,
forward from here.
The worst part is that I don't have access to them.
Oh,
because
right,
if I
just me.
did, this show would be an ADD mess.
Yeah, this is
So-
just me. I'll do enough for both of us, bud.
Well, Vince, I mean, let's get into it. I mean, hey,
Let's.
first and foremost, it was great seeing you last weekend.
Yeah,
like I
Mikey
told
Shy.
everybody-
Back in
Yeah.
the Shy, Mike.
We-
I did a bit of an
We were
exit
back.
for sure. I went to go watch fighting and ditched our boy on the front lines, but we got a good 5
be
hours
back.
together. We got about 5
I'll be
hours.
back.
I'm
I was
sure.
like, no, you're not. No shot.
Listen,
No shot you're good.
something about me that a lot of people may or may not know is that I often am a rallier. I
No,
often
not
am
that
a
night.
I will come back out. That night I got home and had to turn the fights on because my brother was going to hang out with a friend. That didn't work out. And then I was sitting there and I was like, you know what I could do? Is
Nothing.
stay right here in my beautiful air-conditioned apartment and hang out with my brother, and that's definitely what I did. So,
Hey, I was just happy to see all the Glob fam, which I
Yes.
haven't in a long time. We were all
Yeah.
together. It was a wonderful time. Friends from the old hood, and all of us were together. It was a lovely time. I stayed out until almost 3 a.m. that night. It was
yeah,
it was a
I'm
lot of fun.
glad I didn't do that.
Oh,
to
you
be
missed a good
honest.
one.
I've done
Went
it enough.
We went to Pine and something. I don't know. It was really nautical themed. It was fucking cool. It's a good time.
Chicago's a good place, especially in the summer.
It was
If you
gorgeous.
haven't
out.
been, do it. If you haven't been, just get out here and do it.
Went to Trump. It was lovely.
You
Great
did, too.
skylines. A lot of rainbows.
It was Pride. It was Pride as
It
well.
was. It was.
Mike came here for Pride. Mike wanted to feel Pride.
I was prideful to be in Chicago. Let's put it
Yes,
that way.
and I'm happy that you were.
It was a good time,
Mike,
Vince.
something happened this last week.
What happened, Vince?
The NBA draft. We recorded our podcast last week right before the NBA draft. It happened, and one of the main stories was the fall of one man by the name of Kyle Filipowski. Kyle Filipowski on Duke famously got a fake injury from a court storming that made everybody freak out. It's like, oh my God, the Duke stars hurt from the court storming.
That guy?
Yeah,
That
but
guy?
little
All right.
did I know that maybe there was more going on behind the scenes. So I explained this to you a little bit earlier, but I'll paint the picture for those of you that didn't hear about this. Kyle Filipowski, he is a very good basketball player. Expected to be in the first round of this, like, considerably bad draft this year. He had a babysitter as a kid. Babysitter, I think 5-6 years older than him, maybe a little bit older than that. Pretty lady, for sure. Pretty lady, I get it.
She's a looker.
Um,
She's a looker. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, she's a looker.
yeah. I mean, I get it. By the time Kyle gets to senior year, he brings her to prom. She is, I believe, graduated from college by that point. So,
That a boy.
kind of though, but one knock down, bringing going to a high school prom after you graduated college is pretty wild. From there, they
Guys-
begin dating. She sees what I assume to be the money play here, so can't really get mad at
Oh,
her
yeah.
all that much. She does happen to be Mormon and has since crossed Mr. Filipowski over to the Mormon side.
Oh, wow.
And as of recent, he wrote a letter to his family essentially saying, peace out, I'm sticking with her, we're getting engaged, I'm going to be Mormon now, and you're not my family anymore.
Wow.
Messed up move. What happened, I guess, is why is he falling? Why is he dropping? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I believe a person I believe to be his brother was on Twitter, and he was replying to stuff, and he's like, this is why. He started explaining it all out. And then people went back and started doing all the investigation because he's like, I want my brother back, and now
That's what the
he's
internet
gone.
does. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they start finding pictures of this girl, especially when Kyle was like 10 and she was 16 or something like that, like babysitting them. My first thing is that's grooming. That should be illegal. I know that Duke knew that this was going on and they didn't do anything either, which is kind of a Duke during and I guess post Coach K move to be like, he's good enough. We don't have to worry about this. And now he is drafted by the Utah Jazz. So he will be he will be at home. He will be at home in Utah
So-
being a newly found Mormon.
Hey, well, first and foremost, I don't know if he could have thrown a dart and been in a better place if he's a newfound Mormon. Shout out to that guy.
True.
Enjoy those snowy mountains.
Yeah.
And your rite of passage of soaking. So, like, who kicks is the real question in that whole event. Now, do you think, and everybody wants to talk about grooming and they're 6 years apart. Okay.
It is.
Okay, yeah.
Mike,
I mean, what do you think?
flip it on its head. Flip it on its head.
Let
Turn
me
it
finish.
around. Yep.
I'm gonna finish. So, do you think, like, she babysit him? She's 16, he's 10, and she saw that jump shot in the driveway, and she was
Yeah.
like, "I'm getting
Yeah.
on that train." And then, 6 years, 10 years later, whatever it is, she's 26, he's 20, or she's 27, he's 21 now. And that's acceptable. Maybe she just knew in the back of her head, it's like,
all right,
yeah, he's a good-looking 10-year-old. He's going to even be a better-looking 21-year-old. Or that's horrible to say, but it's real.
She posted a 1-year anniversary post.
Okay.
When they dated for the first year. And
Adorbs.
It was one day after his 19th birthday.
Okay.
Meaning that they started dating the day he turned 18. They started dating.
Oh, yeah, she knew.
No, they didn't. They didn't start the day he turned 18. No, they didn't. She's like, all right, doors open. We're just going to make today the day that we start dating.
Well, it's okay. It's for
Flip
example,
it on its head. Kyle Filipowski's a 27-year-old and she's the 20-year-old.
But then there's also have you ever seen the stories of these people of oh, I knew my best friend's dad was the greatest guy in the world.
Yeah, it's gross.
So, and then he gets divorced and then marries his daughter's friend. That's actually in the world that we've lived in or still live in. That happens, which is
that happened
odd.
in the House of Dragons, which is back on HBO now.
That's just Game of Thrones, House of Dragons. It's a lot of weird.
They're cool with that
going on,
right?
Yeah.
But she groomed him. This is Chris D'Elia, baby. I don't care what anybody says. If you flip it the other way, you just had a guy. It's like Drake and Millie Bobby Brown. We're literally watching a girl essentially successfully pick up a guy that she knew was going to be successful in the NBA, or at least successful enough to get to the NBA, and flip it on his head by the time. She's been in his head since he was 13.
Drake and Millie Bobby Brown just hang out. It's very.
No, it's cool. I was going to say, I think every young lady, as they're growing up in their 15, 16, 17-year-old body, should be talking to a 36-year-old man. I think that's cool.
Louis Hamilton, F1 driver for Mercedes, a lot of people were like, yo, you're talking and getting a little too close to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's weird. And that's
Very
what
weird.
That's what this girl did too. So by no means do I think she did anything correctly. I do feel bad for his family. And during his interviews in the draft, a lot of teams pointed at quote unquote character issues as the reason why they weren't able to bring him into their organization, because he was very weird when answering these questions, supposedly, according to reports.
So I kind of have some interesting understanding of this religion you speak of, being the Mormon religion.
Ooh, Mormon. Mormon.
Yes, the Mormon.
Yeah.
Because my future brother-in-law is a former Mormon. Okay. Now, he does not like Utah because he lived there for a long time. But he has explained to me some of the goofy stuff. They have forever undershirts. That's a thing. Yeah. And then, they can't drink alcohol. So I guess for any NBA team, that's a plus because, whatever.
You're not going to be James Harden.
He's not going out to the strip club on a weekend. But, maybe he just wanted to do this with her because then they could actually seal the deal. Either that or he wants 17 wives.
That's the thing, too. He hasn't even gotten it yet.
Vince, do you think he wants 4 wives? He will have the supplemental income playing in the NBA.
He wasn't able to do that until she turned him. He hasn't even been able to, if they're following the rules, get the goods yet. So he doesn't. Maybe he's just maybe he's just sweating. He's like, listen, this has been 14 years in the making. I really need to, I need to close this one up.
What if they get divorced? What if they get divorced?
I don't think you can when you're a Mormon. You can in any religion, really, but
it's very aggressive that his whole life is that he's disbanding from his family.
Completely,
and,
literally just said goodbye to his family in a letter. It's odd, man, and I don't blame a team for being maybe we shouldn't get this extremely impressionable young man who faked an injury and is now engaged to a random Mormon lady that let him get rid of his entire family. Maybe he might be a locker room cancer. Maybe.
Maybe. Who knows? Either that or he's a great guy. It's like that Tik Tok dance girl who left her entire family to go be a part of that cult. I forget her name. It's her and her sister. There was a whole documentary on the Netflix about it, and it's basically she just moved up, started dating some dude, moved out to California to chase her dream of being a professional dancer, was on like Do You Think You Can Dance and America's Most Talented or whatever the fuck it is, and then became a part of like this house, like those influencer
Oh yeah, like
houses
hype
that are a thing in the
houses
world
and all
today.
that. Yeah.
So she became a part of that, but there was like this weird old like Asian guy who is like a pastor, but he runs this church that they're all a part of, and he owns the home and picks all their
Jesus
songs that they
Christ.
dance to, and it's like a cult, and
Oh,
he gets like
no.
50% of their income and distributes it between all of them. And like this is a real life thing, and it's still going on in the world today. Like these cults
Oh yeah, more
exist
prevalent now than
around
maybe
the social
ever.
media.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean it's the same
the
thing as
90s.
like, yeah, that was crazy. Like Waco and all that. Yeah, that was wild.
Waco,
no, it's
no
like,
one did anything wrong there.
it's
See,
like, dude, Waco, both things did everything wrong. That's one of those where you're like, you can't really, give a victor to that because they're both fucked up on both sides. Netflix did a documentary of that, and that was wacky. Highly suggest that one.
Oh yeah. Same thing with Netflix with this one. It reads very similar, where she just totally like disowned her family. They didn't hear from her for over like 2 years, and they were trying to find her, and it's just very fucked up. Now the sister, I don't know if they're twins, but the sister actually married, full circle, married Austin Eichler, running back, San Diego Chargers.
Oh, I saw her on Instagram the other day.
Yeah.
It popped up, and she's like, didn't know if my husband was going to cry at our wedding, and then it flipped, and I was like, holy shit, that's Austin Eckler. That's cool.
Yeah. So her sister is the one who went and joined the cult.
That's
Fun fact.
wild.
Isn't that nuts?
Guys, PSA, boys.
Don't join cults.
First one for everybody. If you find a lady that you're infatuated with, and one of her rules is you have to completely disband from your entire family, might not be the one. That's all I'm saying.
Hey,
think about it a little bit. Think about it a little
Power
bit.
and P, they start with the same word, letter. So be careful, because there's power in that stuff.
She wants to own that boy, and goddamn it if it worked so far. So
have fun
she
at
did
a good job
have fun
so
at your
far.
soda stores,
Listen,
Kyle.
By the way, if you are a Mormon, we appreciate
No hate.
you.
No
that's
hate.
your choice.
Don't groom a teenager that you used to babysit. That's the moral of the story. Don't be Mormon.
Moral of the story, don't do that. Practice whatever religion you want. We still respect it. But at the end of the day, don't groom kids. All right, moving on.
All right.
I feel like Danny DeVito is always
you
gotta make a song about not grooming kids.
We have to make sure we have a song. I don't diddle kids. I don't diddle. It literally is.
Little, gotta be big. Okay.
Yeah, it literally is, dude.
So,
Mike,
Vince,
did you watch soccer?
I was about to say dog days. No, I've watched maybe 20 minutes of this Euro Cup thing.
Yeah,
it's
Euro Cup. It's Copa America. It's fire Greg Berhalter, who's the head coach of the men's national team. Yada yada yada. We talked about that. One game I'd like to highlight. We had Portugal versus Slovenia, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a big game because Portugal brings out the man, the myth, the legend, most handsome man in the world, most followed Instagram page man, athlete in the world as well, Cristiano Ronaldo, who is getting older, for sure.
Still good looking. He's like Tom Brady, like fountain of youth found.
Yeah, well, it helps if you have hundreds of millions and almost billions of dollars. They went and played Slovenia, and nothing happened the whole game. People were talking about this everywhere, and I think we're finally seeing a downfall of the man, the myth, the legend, Cristiano Ronaldo. Messi's probably gone soon. I think we're going to start seeing all these guys falling out, similar to like the Federer, Nadal of the tennis world. And now we're looking at, Mbappe's and the like moving forward, because that was bad.
Yeah.
He was Dyson, but dude, they played 140 minutes, no scoring. That's brutal.
Where's the guy who got his wife's friend pregnant? And is he playing in this? Because if so,
he's English. I think he's from England.
Oh, yes.
He may be an Englishman.
We're not talking about Brits on Independence Day, but
No, yeah, we are.
So-
We're talking about how they took that big fat L all the way back across the
take
freaking
the
pond.
L, you fucking
Losers.
redcoats.
How did Brexit work out for you? Boom. Just kidding. If you're from England, I
Boris
love you. And
Johnson
thanks
sucks.
for listening. I think they'd agree with that too. Yeah, Boris Johnson's a wild man.
He's
Didn't they?
the worst.
Wait, didn't they? Don't they have They have an election today. I think
Oh,
they
do
elect
they?
today. Yeah.
Ironic.
Yeah.
Isn't that ironic?
Right.
Isn't it strange?
Isn't it strange?
But back to Ronaldo. So listen, I don't believe Ronaldo is cooked because I saw him in the same game, like talking about cooking, just like totally made two guys just completely fall on their face
Yeah.
with some epic handles. I just think that soccer in particular is very difficult to watch because
Oh, brutal. Brutal.
there's not a lot of scoring.
Mm-hmm.
It is fast paced. I get it. And these guys are moving for 90 plus minutes constant. And you have to be a tremendous athlete to play the game. If America decided we were going all in on soccer, we'd fucking own.
I don't know if we would. This is supposed to be our best team ever. We
Okay.
can't even hire a
Tyreek-
coach.
Tyreek Hill as a center field. Dude.
Half of him is his hands, though, too. You can't use your
Bro.
hands.
I'm
sure
just
he'd be
saying,
good.
if he truly focused
Yeah.
on kicking a fucking soccer ball his whole life as opposed to catching a football.
Yeah. That's
I'm
true.
just saying,
I
if
mean, you get all the
America
fastest
decided-
guys and you make them soccer players. You're golden.
If America decided we were going to be really good at soccer, we'd own everybody.
Oh, yeah.
LeBron James kicking a penalty kick.
I don't know,
No
though,
shot.
dude. Like, you got, like, Brazil's really good. You can find some guys in
It's what they
Spain, like,
focus on. It's what
it'd
they
be a
focus
lot.
on.
I guess it'd be a lot easier than saying, like, we can take all of our athletes and put them in the handball league. Like, if we did that, we would destroy everybody.
America's
Soccer, like,
sports:
yeah.
football, baseball, NBA. I
Is
believe
it
in that more
football?
than fair.
Have you been
yeah.
following this tournament going on, this world tournament?
What world tournament?
Dude, they're doing like a football like World Cup thing right now, and they don't have any NFL guys, and America's just getting fleeced. They lost like 42-21 or something like
Yeah,
that, and it's
okay.
like America sucks, and you're like, yeah, let's put Pat Mahomes there and see what
Yeah,
happens.
right. Like I said, America's real sports are the NFL,
Yeah.
MLB, and the NBA. Like,
Dude, I need a
and-
dream team type situation to go and just destroy everybody and be like, this is a reminder that these are our D-League
But-
guys.
You do look at countries, though, that truly focus on a certain sport. You look at a country like Japan or South Korea or, I mean, just Korea. I mean, as a whole, they focus on baseball. Same thing with Venezuela and Dominican Republic and,
Mhm.
you know, a lot
Russian
of those.
hockey.
Russian hockey, same principle. It's
Mm-hmm.
what you focus on that produces some of the most talent. Cuba in baseball. I mean, come on.
Right, dude.
Yeah. So I do believe, though, that soccer in particular is very difficult to watch. This whole pool, I've been paying semi attention because it's the only thing that's on late. So I enjoy watching it, but it's not like I'm like, oh, Croatia is on the run to do something. I know France is good because of Mbappe,
Yes.
right? And France
Always.
is on. I mean, so when
Germany,
he does
always.
decide to play, yeah.
Italia's a little better these days. Like, it's fun. It's cool to like follow. And I said it before, I'm a Newcastle guy. Try to watch a little Premier League every now and then if it comes on. It's just background noise, man. I can't, like, it's cool that, like, the best player in the world or one of the best players in the world is playing, and then you watch it and nothing happens for 140
Like, oh,
minutes
sweet.
of game
It's
time.
1-0
Yeah.
after
But it wasn't.
120
And then-
minutes.
PKs are so dumb, man. Penalty kicks are so dumb to decide how a game ends. Like, do like 2-on-2 half field before you do penalty kicks. What does that have to
Or do
it
like
doesn't
a-
prove shit.
Do like an NHL style shootout to decide the winner of the game.
That's essentially
Like
what
that-
they're doing.
Yeah, I don't follow the
But they're
rules. I
so
don't play- I don't
close.
watch
It's like
this
you're
game.
just sitting there. It's so dumb. And I feel the same way about hockey. That should be like 1-on-1 first goal wins, like something like that, where like it's more exciting and you put your best player out there. But geez, like PKs you watch and you're like they won. You're like I guess.
Hockey's more fun to watch live because there is more scoring depending on who the two teams are. And not only
It's
that, there's
shorter, they can
hitting,
hit
it's
each other.
shorter. Yeah,
No one's
20-minute
flopping.
periods. Yeah, there's no. Oh, some of the flops are egregious.
Oh, that's where it came
Like
into
guys
the NBA.
get grazed, and LeBron James is sitting there taking notes on the sideline, like,
Mhm.
ooh.
I've
right.
told you I saw that whole like breakdown of when flopping started in the NBA. No?
When?
You can see there's like, it's funny. It's like a dead line of it's like, no noted flopping happening in like 60s, 70s, 80s, like about halfway through into the 90s. And then you get like Kukoc coming in, and then all of a sudden it's like, you're like, that's weird. And then Ginobili comes in and Tony Parker and goes, and you're like,
Oh,
oh,
it's all
shit, the
it's
Europeans.
all the guys from across the pond.
Europe did it to us, man. That's why Luca's always like, what the hell? It's like, it's the theatrics.
Yeah, maybe if you're from across the pond, you got a little drama in you.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about a real sport.
Yeah.
College football starts in
Football. I love it. I love
These
it so
sounds
much.
are so ridiculous. So college football starts in 8 weeks, and I'm really excited because then it starts, and it's just a different world. You wake up, especially living now in the Southwest and no daylight savings time. Game day starts at 8:00 in the morning.
Oh, that's sweet.
I open my eyeballs to football, and the only issue is, so if you're Central Time, you get football until like midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Here we watch football until like 10 because it's reasonable. Because West Coast teams play West Coast times. It's still great. It's just all day long. From the moment I open my eyes to the moment I go to bed.
I would rather wake up to sports than go to bed to sports. I will say that.
That's true.
I have always felt this way, and I believe it to always be true. I think Central Time Zone is the best sports watching time zone because it's not like a 1 p.m. start for the NFL on the East Coast, but it's also not like a 10 a.m. So
Right.
it's a give or take. It depends on the person, but I'm a big Central Time sports guy. Maybe that's because what I'm used to.
I'm really excited. College Football 25 comes out in a few
2
weeks.
Yeah, I'm jacked.
I'm going to be on the road for work, so I got to get a PS5 stat, and I got to
Do it. You can go buy one literally any day now.
Yeah,
You can just go in and get one.
I'm procrastinating.
Yeah.
Many trips.
It's literally
things
2
like
trips
that.
to a steakhouse is the same price as a PS5. You can do it.
This is true. Depending if you're paying for your significant other, that's actually one trip.
Well,
to a
that's what.
steakhouse, so.
Yeah. Right. $500 though. Christ.
It's true. It's true.
Yep.
But for a year of entertainment, this guy's in. So, Vince, with all that, what's your feeling this year? We got a lot of conversions. We've got a 12-team playoff this year, which is going to be incredibly exciting. I think it's going to even a playing field for a lot of different teams who may have deserved to get in that didn't meet the top 4 criteria. And I think it's going to make it far more competitive. And maybe that underdog team does go to a national championship. But if you had to throw a dart right now, is there anybody in particular that you're looking at like, ooh, that's a squad?
I mean,
that's not your okay. Let's preface it this way.
I was like,
it's not your typical Bama.
I was say Georgia's going to be
LSU.
really good again. Carson Beck's probably going to be really good this year. What's weird? Like this conference realignment is like kind of throwing me off because I want Texas to be really good this year, and I think they will be. But I don't know how because they're moving SEC, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Texas and OU are moving.
Yeah,
to
OU I think is going to have a tough year this year, but I think they're not going to have a good time. But again, like teams like I expect Texas to get into the playoff now, which I didn't think they were going to be able to do regardless. Man, I want to say a West Coast team. Like I want to say like a UCLA starts making a push or something like that, but also they're moving conferences and they're going to have to travel more than anybody. Like that actually might mess with them.
The first year is not as aggressive as years coming, I believe. So the first year,
even style of football, no, like that changes the whole way they play.
That's true. But they're not playing many cold weather games, which if you look at the lineups and the schedules this year, you don't see a ton of that.
Mm-hmm.
In those conference game or out of conference games that you may see, or what were formerly known as out of conference, are like neutral sites because of the hype surrounding it. So I could see, I could see a team bias, but USC looking at Miller Moss, don't sleep on that guy. He absolutely crushed in their bowl game last year, put up big numbers, but it's a bowl game. A lot of guys left. You never know. I do believe Miller Moss is a dog,
Big Ten defense. USC play style versus Iowa is the most damning
Well,
thing that they're in the same conference.
It's going to be fun to watch it because can they compete against an Iowa defense?
Yeah.
Now, Iowa can't put up a touchdown if they tried because
Right.
they have a quarterback.
But
might
maybe
as
against
well
that
not even
USC
exist.
defense.
And to your point, USC's defense is atrocious.
Yeah.
And in the past, Big Ten teams play Big Ten teams. That's usually it. And then you have your one-off where Notre Dame comes in and they'll
Fleeces
play
the USC every year. Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
No. That was just 1 year.
Oh.
That was just
Okay.
1 year.
I don't know.
That
I forgot. Recency bias, whatever.
That was just 1 year.
Okay.
Because
That's a great
the last
night.
year you guys went to, the West Coast and got smoked. So
Yeah.
Take
That
it
was
easy.
that was Pine. That was Pine years, and no one likes Pine. Drew Pine.
Well,
Yikes.
either way. So if you had to pick, so you think Texas? You're going to take Texas?
Well,
as your-
no. I think
Oregon
you'll get either Oregon State or UCLA. I'll give
Oregon
those two.
State.
I'm interested
Like
to
the
see how that works.
Beavers?
Yeah, I think the Beavers can be, like you said, better. Not like top 4. I'm saying
Okay.
that they can like squeeze into a weird little spot and maybe have a chance at a playoff, like something like that. Because I
Okay.
think Texas will make the playoffs. I think obviously Georgia, all those ones will be able to make the playoffs unless they eat each other alive. But like, there's a lot more room these days.
I'm really high, and I said this last week.
That's
I'm
not good. Why are we recording?
that
Ha ha! It's a wee joke.
happened many years ago. Now,
Yeah.
one day we'll release it for the world. But
Oh, yeah.
So, in my eyes, Nebraska with Dylan Raiola coming in this year,
Yeah.
arguably the most highly rated QB prospect over the past 5 years.
Nebraska though.
Matt Rule
Right.
is a
True.
tremendous college coach. Did
Very
amazing
true.
things at Baylor. His second year at Nebraska. Insane fan base. That's all they do there is football, corn, and football.
Mhm.
And then, Omaha has the College World Series.
Right.
But that's it. They don't have a professional sports franchise. They just have Huskers football.
That's all it is. And they
So I think
are
there's a lot of money.
starving. They're starving for a good team.
Well,
they
and Matt
suck
Rule's
so
talking
bad.
some shit. Matt Rule's talking some shit recently, which I actually kind of dig because there's a couple different articles stating like, is Nebraska legit and this and that, and they've interviewed him and he said, "Oh, we're coming." So I like the confidence. And I think he knows he's got a dog at quarterback and he's a good offensive coach. Couldn't figure it out in Carolina. I just don't think he spoke the NFL language.
He's probably he's talking shit because he can again because he couldn't at all in the NFL.
Well, I'm just saying if you're talking shit before the season starts about your squad and you've seen them and you recruited them, then you're high and ready, which I like that. So I'm excited to see what Nebraska does. I think they're probably going to be most improved if I had to throw a dart. And
a
I
lot
think
of
they're
good
going to be
teams in the Big Ten though. That's my only scary part is
a lot
like
of competition.
Like U of I is not bad anymore. Wisconsin's a pretty good team. Like Iowa's a pretty good, not amazing, but like Nebraska, where they go like 4-10 last year. Like they're not
Well,
a
it was
formidable team.
It was the first year with a new head coach, new styles, new systems. So it's a little different. But to your point, same thing with Wisconsin. They got that guy from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Forget his name.
And then you got Notre Dame, baby, and they're going undefeated this year. So get ready.
Yeah, half the schedule is the Hanley School for the Blind.
Hey,
and then,
man, you play who you play, brother. You play
and
who
then
you play.
good old Appalachian State. Boy, they're moving the nation.
I'll see your boys in the playoffs.
What week do you play Marshall? Marshall hasn't been good since what? Randy Moss? Right?
Well, they did lose their entire team one time, so you got to come back and put it back together.
Matthew McConaughey led them back. Okay, take it easy.
That's true.
And I would like to shout out
instead of Texas.
Right. I would like to shout out resident fan of the podcast, gentleman by the name of Pods R Us.
Yes,
who
King.
is one of our largest supporters. Thank you for always that. And go Huskers because you're a Huskers fan and we know.
King. We're rooting for you.
Thank you. All right, Vince. Do we skip hockey talk this week?
No, dude. Boys talk about hockey.
All right, let's talk about that hockey.
The boys talk about hockey.
All right. I'm going to just say it because this is the only thing I know. Terrifying, and welcome back to the Blackhawks, baby.
There's hockey. All right, cool.
All right.
Let's
No,
go.
so
Well,
what I've heard.
what'd you hear?
The Blackhawks have made a lot of moves this offseason. The salary cap went up. A lot of teams made signed some guys, all this stuff. Blackhawks brought in a lot of, veteran leadership on short-term deals, which is what you want on a rebuilding team. They'll come in, they'll get Bedard into place, that new Russian sign-on that we got from the draft. Maybe he's going to be a benefit. So I think they're moving in the right direction, and that's going to be a consistent theme throughout every Chicago sport that we talk about today, is either they're moving in the right direction or the wrong direction. So that's what I had to say.
I think the no, wrong. I think the Blackhawks are headed in a great direction. I think this team is very young. They want to build back better.
Yeah.
And no pun intended, but it's a terrible concept. But I do believe they're on to some real big things. And I think Bedard may be the best player in the world and give it a year or two.
Yep. Him and McJesus.
Yeah, him and McJesus. I think he'll be there. He's Patrick Kane 2.0 if I've ever seen him, if not better. So breaking records, winning awards. Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. That's all I'll say about hockey. Next year we will be more in line with hockey because
I'll be watching it all year, man. I have to learn the players at some point.
I agree. All right, let's talk about baseball. Let's talk about what we know best. You want to hear something sad?
Yes.
And I hate to start this out on such a somber note, but Tim Anderson is no longer a part of the Marlins, Vince.
Not that sad.
And DFA'd, second former White Sox great DFA'd in the same
in the
season.
last 2 months. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I wish more teams would be willing to part ways with the worst players in the MLB when they are. I'm looking at you, Detroit Tigers, because so is Javier Baez for a lot of his career at this point. Or Colorado, who's living in the gutters with Chris Bryant, who's playing very poorly.
Got paid well, too.
This gives the White Sox the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever. Looking at two guys that they wouldn't sign because they're like, we're not giving you contracts like that. And then them being like, all right, we'll bet on myself. We'll go somewhere else. And both of them get cut before the year's out. And they bring them back and they're like, probably should have stayed. Yeah, that's we caught lightning in a bottle for a little bit of time. Tim Anderson ended up being much better than we thought he was going to be, thinking that we sped the rebuild up and we were all rocking, yada, yada, yada. We've heard this conversation ad nauseum from us. Not surprised. Do I think the White Sox should bring him back and try to reclaim him and make him good again? Sure. Fucking why not?
Yeah, we do need a shortstop.
Why not?
Really
Why not,
yeah.
man?
Yeah, let them pay the guy. That's it. He's the only one that, in my opinion, has upside left just due to age alone.
Right.
And familiarity with the team.
And lack of injuries.
I think Pedro Gaffal, though, is just a cancer. And the White Sox
what else
now
is
have
he supposed to do, too, though?
Vince, can I tell you the White Sox have 63 losses on the season already?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
In 2005, when we won the World Series, that was the total loss number of the season.
Yeah, we went, 99-63.
Horrible. Now, let's talk about this 2021 ALDS winning team, right?
Yes.
Their lineup that year, Tim Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yoan Moncada, always hurt.
Yep.
Jose Abreu, DFA'd.
Yep.
Yasmani Grandal,
Bad.
Luis Robert,
Good.
Really good.
Shout out
Really
to him.
good. Should trade him. Eloy Jimenez, baby
Always
deer.
hurt.
Always hurt. Gavin Sheets.
Meh.
He goes through phases with me.
Yeah.
And then Adam Engel. I don't even know if he's in the league anymore.
I don't even think he's on a minor league team in the league. I think he's an independent ball or something.
And then former White Sox legend Lori Garcia. So that was that team. And now, was Tony La Russa that good?
No,
He
Rick
must have been.
Renteria could have done that. I think all of them were good young stars, and they weren't jaded by the organization that was the Chicago White Sox. And the players make the organization, so equal blame goes both ways here. No, it's bad. It's a team that wouldn't pay for anybody. It's a team that wouldn't get proper leadership or any analytics department. And I mean, you look at the pitching staff, and you can go the same way. I mean, Giolito's been on 3 teams since then. Dylan Cease is an absolute fucking monster. Like, he got rid of him for soup and nuts at the end of the day. Like,
we'll see.
What are you gonna do?
We'll see.
You had the MLB reliever of the year for a couple years, and you yourself couldn't wait to get rid of the guy.
Oh, I still think he's horrible, and it goes to show because he's no longer doing great things. And
he's good on Boston. Boston's playing well this year.
Yeah, whatever. He's also not closing anymore. So
yeah, he wasn't going to in that role.
I'm just saying, what does that tell you? He gives up too many meatballs in the middle of the zone.
I mean, he did do that.
If you don't know who we're referring to, it's the floppy piece of shit, also known
cancer
as Liam
survivor Liam Hendricks.
Cancer survivor Liam Hendricks.
Yeah.
Now, I did meet a guy on an airplane.
Nice. Congrats.
On my way back from Chicago. Yeah, I met a guy. And his neighbor is a silent owner of the White Sox because there's like a group, and lives on like the same blocks as him. We were talking baseball, and just Chicago baseball alone right now is garbage. And he basically stated that they will sell in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Before they move anywhere. So
sure,
it's a done deal.
Yeah, but how does he know? He doesn't know that either.
Nobody knows. But they're looking.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way: they're looking to cash in their chips and move on.
I mean, it's more enticing if they have a new stadium already being built and all that. And I doubt that's going to happen at the time. Hopefully they get sold to somebody who's good, but I don't even believe that'll happen, honestly. As long as Michael Reinsdorf doesn't have it after big old Jer Bear up there, then I guess I'm fine with that. Me putting this jersey, I'm wearing a Sox jersey for anybody not watching it. Me putting this jersey on was like, it was laborious. I put it on, I can feel the weight that Luis Robert has on his shoulders. Just putting this jersey on, it's fucking mess. But we do have one good thing.
Taxi Squad word of the day: laborious.
I like that. There you go. Bringing new vocab. We do have one good thing.
Who's that?
John Schriffen, Mike. We have our play-by-play guy that would you call him play-by-play? I don't even know. Our booth guy was Steve Stone.
He's the cringiest human being on the planet.
Luis Robert.
Cringe.
I should have pulled up this audio clip. Luis Robert hit a home run, and he was like, "And it's gone, La Pantera." And he's like,
"Hey, you got a roar sound? You got a roar sound in your bag of tricks over there? You got a roar."
He doesn't even roar though. He's just like, he did like a cat roar.
He's horrible. I
think he's bad. I think he's really bad at his job. I think it's fitting for this team, and I think it's the only amusing part of the entire season right now, is him being a fucking goofball.
Because he can. The A's announcer, she's horrible.
She's so... Dude, I'm so glad you said that. She is... Do you see the home run into center field yesterday or 2 days ago?
She didn't know if it was gone or not.
She's like, if it's over the wall, is that a home run? And the guy's like, yeah.
Yeah, because the A's were playing the D-backs and they hit a bomb. She's like, oh, so if it's over that, is it a home run? I'm like, oh.
Even if she wasn't trying to be funny, the sarcasm did not work in that statement. No one laughed, and the guy's just like, yeah, funny. She's really bad at her job, and I'm not even hating. Like, the way that she does it is fine. It's just sometimes she says stuff, and you're like, what? She's like, who was it? They were playing like the Mets or something like that. And she's like, oh, it was like 2 strikes on him. And she's like, oh, this guy's cooked. And then the next pitch was a home run. She was just completely wrong about it. Oh, he's already got him. He might as well already be struck out. Boom, home run. Completely incorrect. Like, there's so many people that are trying to get into that. There's so many people. Thousands of people.
Just let us do it. Let us do it.
There's thousands of people studying sports broadcasting right now in America. And that's what you find? She doesn't even know what a home run is. What are we doing?
Yeah, the barrier of entry to become a MLB announcer is a very low low bar.
I don't,
Yeah.
dude. It's just
It's
again the
bad.
two most poverty franchises in the MLB hiring the two most poverty people to call the games ever is very on point and very much par for the
Right.
course. Two teams
Sales
that don't want to
pitch.
spend money and that are actively trying to sell.
Let's start a petition. We will remotely, become the broadcasting network of the awful A's,
Yeah.
and then the terribles of the Chicago White Sox or Black
Yeah.
Stockings, and we will be far more entertaining than those two people.
Oh, 100%.
Because Steve Stone's just asleep at this point. He's
Yeah.
just like
He blocked me on Twitter, so I fucking hate him.
he blocked you on Twitter?
You know this? Yeah.
No.
I called him a boner. He was.
I met him in person. I'll be like, hey, my friend Vince Glove wants you to know you're a big boner.
Yeah.
And I found you, motherfucker.
Yeah, and then he'd be like, yeah, block everybody on Twitter. Yeah, he posted something that was like a real like Nancy take. It was like lame. I just read it and I was like, this is stupid. I was like, I don't know why Steve's being such a boner about this. I put that on Twitter and then I tried clicking on his profile and it said blocked. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? I barely did anything. I just called him a boner.
Yes, Stone Pony.
Yeah. I mean, you win one Cy Young and then you have the skin of a freaking paper. It's bad.
He was all right to meet in person. I met him on St. Patrick's Day here in lovely old Scottsdale. He was, I guess he's like a really big sports bettor for the Ponies. And he goes to 1OTB, which is an Irish bar here in Scottsdale. And he just sits there, smokes cigars, and just bets on ponies. And I was like, Mr. Stone, huge White Sox fan, blah, blah, blah. And he was just like, yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, he's probably sweating out a 3-leg horse parlay or some shit.
Yeah, it's probably sweating out the trifecta. Go bet the pony, Stone Pony. Maybe that's why they call you Stone Pony.
Could be.
You ever think of that?
Could be.
Either way.
Yeah, man. Whatever. We'll watch baseball. The Orioles are really good. Aaron Judge is really good. The Dodgers should be better. There we go.
You know what I noticed about baseball? Like,
what?
If they televise more of it, people would probably follow it more.
Yeah.
But you can't watch it.
The blackouts, dude?
Horrible.
Every way that baseball's ran, and this has always been the case, and this is the same thing about star power and yada, yada, yada. Oh, Bryce Harper was in the West Loop yesterday, by the way, too.
Oh, yeah, the Cubs are playing the Phillies this weekend,
Yeah,
aren't they?
I was at lunch, and someone ended up coming back from work, and they're like, oh, just saw Bryce Harper at the restaurant. I'm like, that's awesome. Speaking of, it's like those are guys that you want to start marketing. You have a Mike Trout who, generational. You want to market all those guys, and nothing comes of it. They put their draft on at the same time as like a championship game. Like they're just so good. They're so good at it. Like remember the Hall of Fame, or not Hall of Fame? It was the end of the year award ceremony that they did.
Oh yeah, that wasn't televised or anything.
It was televised, but it was televised at 9 p.m. with no advertising. So everybody's just like, hey, did anybody know that they were announcing the MVP tonight? And everybody's like, no. So the next day, everybody's like, oh, yeah, last night was like awards day for the MLB and no one knew about it. Like, it's just stupid, like boneheaded shit like that where you're like, okay.
Because I'm one of the guys who'd watch. Like
I would
don't
too.
At this stage of the game, I'll take any baseball I could get. That's not Chicago.
I like the fanfare of it. I like guys coming up and accepting their awards, but all you got was the day after because no one told you about it.
Be better, baseball. Speaking of being better, Vince. Be better.
Yeah. Speaking of being better,
all right.
Mike.
Speaking of being better, Vince. The NBA draft was last Wednesday. We finished recording, and the draft commenced. The Bulls got a guy by the name of Matas Buzelis.
Buzelis. I'm still getting used to it. Yep.
Okay. What are your thoughts?
I've looked a lot into him. I didn't know much about him beforehand. Though he sounds like he's a European guy, he actually was from the Chicago area, which is cool. He's a Hinsdale man. From the same place, if I'm not mistaken, as the Bears pick from Yale. So they ended up calling each other, and talking about that. He's pretty good. He's long. He can stretch the floor. He is getting kind of comparisons to a man by the name of Kristaps Porzingis, which is cool. I don't think he's as strong in the paint. He's not as tall. He does have a nice jump shot. It's not as consistent. He played for the G League Ignite last year, which is what a lot of guys are doing now. Instead of going to college, they're just going to the G League, getting paid small amounts, getting drafted next year, all that. I think it's good. It's obviously, and we'll get into it in a moment, but it's obviously a change of direction for Chicago.
Yeah, they're going to get rid of everybody, as they should. I mean, it's been baseball or basketball purgatory for the past 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 years.
Hey, your boy got drafted.
Who?
Shoot, what's his name? LeBron James Jr. Your guy got drafted.
All right, let's talk about nepotism at its finest. Second taxi squad word of the day, nepotism.
Yeah, man. It's first off, and they do this with every draft. Why does the TV, like announcers, why do people on TV tell you what the pick is before they announce the pick? Why do they do that?
What do you mean?
I'll be watching and it'll be like, Woj will be like, just got word, LeBron James Jr. is getting drafted, and they're like one pick away, and they're like, well, the Lakers are up, but we already know it's going to be Bronny James, and it's like, well, what's the fun of doing this then? Like, what are we watching right now?
Talk about another, organization that doesn't do well of their coverage of the draft. The NBA draft might as well just be
ESPN,
like going to Chili's. It's fucking horrible.
This was one of the worst draft programs ever. We're going to get into LeBron James Jr. in a second. I was watching it, and Stephen A's like, I don't even know who this guy is. And I'm like, listen, I could say that because I'm watching it, and I don't. You're on the TV. You're supposed to be read up on these guys. And he was like, fuck if I know. Hopefully he's good. I'm like, you're not like a buddy sitting next to me. You're on the fucking broadcast, Stephen A. The whole entire broadcast was just like, I don't really know how this guy's going to pan out. It's just like me and you just sitting there eating chips, drinking beer, talking about it, being like, I don't know, he could be good. But it's just Malik Andrews like, I don't know, he could be good. Like, what are we doing? I could just tune into like two guys talking and it'd be the same conversation.
Well, at least in the NFL, to your point, like, I mean, guys are really read up.
Yeah.
I mean, Mel Kiper, think what you want about him, but he knows about the guy coming out of Yale.
For sure.
For example, or coming out of Eastern Michigan. These guys are just like, Stephen, I really don't know this brother, but he looks to be the part.
Yeah, and you're like, what are we? I've never trusted anything Stephen A's ever said because I don't know him as the Washington Post Stephen A. I know him as the annoying talking head online. Like, they did top 5
very handsomely to do it.
They did top 5 nicknames for LeBron James Jr. for like 30 minutes on First Take the other day. I was watching it in amazement, and they're like or like the King 2.0. Prince Bronny. And Stephen A's like, I like Prince Bronny. And I'm like, what am I watching? What is going on right now? This isn't sports media. This is bullshit. It's so stupid.
Back to that, like, we all knew it was going to happen. Even though I texted Vince, I was like, called it. He's like, Mike, so you and a million
so did everybody else in the world.
Yeah, that's fair.
No disrespect to you, but it was a means to an end. No one else is
going to.
Vince. Yeah, okay. So you
disrespect. The absolute disrespect to this podcast, I tell you. I will say this. He's not going to be good. No shot.
Yeah.
Maybe a role player. That's his ceiling.
I think that's what we see. We see a defensive stopper. He's very athletic. He can get up if he needs to. He also just had a heart attack, like real heart palpitation issues. So he could be pretty good. I don't think Los Angeles is the worst place for him to go because you do see guys like Caruso, like Austin Reeves. Like, you see guys that like outshoot their coverage, for lack of a better term, or sorry for the pun. He could actually come up through their system and be pretty good. But what they're going to do is rush him, which is unfortunate. Dalton Connect is also very good. JJ Redick has never coached a team before, even though it seems like he's taking it in stride, which is good. He did say, I don't give a fuck.
Fourth graders.
Yeah, I know. Did you see that the other day? They were asking him a question. He's like, quite frankly, I don't give a fuck. And then everybody's like, oh my God, he swore. JJ Redick swore. Oh my God.
Oh my God, what a
holy
bad boy.
Cow. Yeah.
The Lakers might make the play-in next year. Wow.
Yeah, because their coach doesn't give a frick. Yeah, it's just all stupid. I think he'll probably get like 10 minutes a game, something like that. LeBron's going to want to play with him. LeBron already re-signed. They couldn't get anybody else on the team. Quite frankly, Klay Thompson took less money to not be on the Lakers, because why the fuck would you want to go there right now?
Who wants to go there?
I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony Davis gets traded. But
I don't think he's going to get traded, but I think they want more guys on the team, and it's just not.
what if the Bulls found out a way to move Levine to the Lakers for Anthony Davis? Would you do it?
Yeah, but the Lakers aren't doing that.
I mean, Levine
a bigger
with LeBron.
a bigger contract with a worse
Yeah.
guy. Like, I don't know if you can do that.
Yeah, Levine's
Well,
horrible.
Yeah,
And
we'll
and
touch
I
on him
said
in
we
a
should have
second.
never gave him the max, but whatever.
Which I disagreed with at the time, and I now agree with in retrospect. Which I don't think that was in your brain. This scenario
Basketball
was not
might.
in your brain. It was not in your brain, but
Basketball might.
regardless. Last couple
Oh, it
things on the
was, Vince,
draft.
I knew.
What's your takeaway on Zachary Richache, Mike? Or Richache?
I don't know a lot about the
or
brother, but
Richache.
it could work. There you go.
2 Frenchmen going 1 and 2. France. This is like the French-Indian War where we have to fight against them again. This is the downfall of American basketball players. We're never going to win another Olympics again because France is just going to come in and go Wembanyama, Richache, Gobert, 1, 2, 3, just big, scary guys up the middle.
I mean,
It's
sooner
over.
or later,
It's
some
over.
of these guys, one of these guys is bound to bust. So I don't think they're going to be like Wembanyama or any of the.
No,
I mean, they may
no, I'm just saying in general, like the talent quality coming out of France is like higher than America now. And that's
coming
happening
from across the pond in
Serbia,
general.
Croatia. You know?
I mean, it's a global sport more so than ever. So it's not a surprise to see guys coming from across the pond.
And you can play
It's,
real, like, grown men leagues when you're 15.
yeah.
learn
So
quicker.
the talent, they learn quicker. They get put into different situations before, our talent pool does. That's why you see a lot of guys, though, to the point, getting drafted out of Ignite and the G League itself.
Yeah.
Which I believe makes the product better. So if guys can get right out of high school and go play in the G League, let them.
I think so, too. And we're not really going to know the repercussions or the solutions or whatever you want to call conclusions until a couple years from now.
Who was the savior for the Bulls during that Thibodeau era? The guy who was supposed to be, he had the beard and he was from across the pond and he had to play so many years in
Mirotic?
Serbia or wherever the fuck he was from. And then Mirotic. He was
Yeah.
horrible.
Bobby Portis is punching bag. He was a mid-level NBA basketball player. Him on the Bulls didn't work out.
But he
when
was
went-
supposed to be the savior, and
Yeah.
he was like a part of our Eastern European program with the Bulls
Yeah.
for 5 or 6 years, and we were like, oh, well, Mirotic gets here.
a little peek
and
behind the
then
curtain
nothing
on the
happened.
content that Vince watches. I watched a documentary on former EuroLeague MVPs who played in the NBA, and they went over that. Mirotic decided just to leave the NBA and come back and win more games and championships back in Europe. And I think some people just don't. I think it has half to do with the organization. I don't think the organization was set up for success for him. And I think also he was too big for his britches, knowing that he was coming to a different place where play style is different. I mean, Lucas says that. Lucas like, it's actually probably easier to score in the NBA, but it's also harder to stop people from scoring in the NBA. So it's like a catch-22. I can go up and score, but also other guys are going to score twice as much too. So I think you got to get used to a different game. And Mirotic didn't translate in Chicago, but he was pretty good in New Orleans.
Yeah, but who the fuck wants to play in New Orleans? Next
Nobody.
question.
That's that's why everybody else is trying to get out. Speaking of people moving teams, the NBA free agency has gone brazy.
Hot stove. Hot stove.
Brazy, if you will. The first thing to happen, and this kind of started the dominoes, is Paul George no longer on the Clippers. He goes east to join the Embiid and Maxey Sixers. LA wasn't willing to give Paul George the 4th year on the contract. That was their debate. It was like his agent went in there and said, we want 4 years. If we don't get 4 years, we're not going to sign. Kawhi Leonard's only signed for 3 more years. I think they were like, let's see how this works out the next 3 years, and then we'll restart if we need to. So they didn't give that to him, and Paul George said, all right, good riddance. I'm going to Philadelphia. He's going to be 38 by the end of this deal. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a good fit. I mean, Philly was in the dance this playoffs or the Eastern Conference for. I mean, they almost took the Knicks. Well, they took the Knicks 7. So
Yeah.
it was a great series, and I think they were just one piece away from doing it. We'll see if it's going to be James Harden all over again, though. That's my only thing, because they brought Harden in, and he was supposed to be the guy. They brought Jimmy in. He was supposed to be the guy. Okay, here's the third time now of somebody coming in, supposedly getting them over the needle.
What Embiid needs is what Jimmy Butler was for him. And Paul George is the closest thing you can get to Jimmy Butler. Is kind of in my head. He's a guy that can spot up, shoot.
But...
He is. He's the definitely, but he's the closest thing. I mean, you have a guy that's long, can defend. Tyrese Maxey's fast. Obviously, he gets downhill. He can drive the lane. He can shoot. They needed another guy. Embiid's going to be down in the middle. Paul George will help you space the floor, and he can also get in there and yam down on guys, which is what you need. Your worries about age. But I think this move, and this is what the Sixers were doing this year by not signing people, they get Paul George in, and they actually have room on their salary cap to make moves if they need to still. I think it's good. I think if Paul George plays like he did like 2-3 years ago, and not as much as he did last year, he'll have the ball more. He has more options to shoot. I think it could be good. But then again, it is Philadelphia, and you never know how that shit's going to work out on the Sixers. But I think it's good.
Overall, I think, what's his name? Tyrese Maxey. I think he's one of the better younger stars in the NBA right now. And if he gets paired with a guy like Paul George at his best, there's going to be some noise made. I like it. Now, Tobias Harris just signed with the Pistons.
Yeah,
I don't know
he's back on the Pistons.
Which is kind of nuts. Which I don't know. I mean, that's just a money move. I mean, the Pistons are horrible.
Bravo to Tobias Harris. I've never seen a guy. He's made the most money ever from a guy that's never been on an All-NBA team. He was successfully a liability for the 76ers the last 2 years. Successfully a liability. And he still goes and gets, $52 million for 2 years from the Pistons? He goes back to Detroit. He was already on Detroit before. And they're like, fuck it, bring him in there. I guess it's fine. Detroit needs to pay somebody and might as well be Tobias Harris. But, like... It's like he's the Chase Daniel of the NBA. He gets paid way more than he deserves, honestly, because he's just like available.
Yeah, and he does well enough to like be like somebody. Well, like we could get the most out of him.
NBA money is different, man. NBA
Same thing with MLB
different.
money.
Yeah,
it's just different. These
but
guys
you at
get
least
paid
like
astronomical figures to not do a lot.
MLB, you get 2 years, $10 million and all that stuff. Like Tobias Harris,
all the money's guaranteed.
Tobias
like
Harris is a 2 year, $30 million guy, not 2 year, 52. Like it's like holy shit. Again, Detroit has nobody to pay, so you might as well pay him. Fuck it. But
yeah, and who the fuck wants to go to Detroit? No one.
Nobody at all right now.
I mean, that's the team you try and rebuild in 2K.
Right, yeah. That's all those videos of I make the Pistons better because you need to at some point. The Warriors are different now.
Why? Oh, yeah. Vince, you wanted him to come back.
I wanted him to go back to Golden State because I like the team, It's one of those things where you want to see him ride out in the sunset. You always wanted to see Michael and Scottie finish their career together and ride out in the sunset and yada, yada. You like seeing that. Steph Curry's not going anywhere. The Warriors have some decisions to make because Klay Thompson is officially a Dallas Maverick, which is awesome in my opinion. I love that move. I know I texted it to you and you were like, snooze. That's exactly. They needed a spot up shooter, and if Steph Curry wasn't in the NBA, Klay Thompson could be the best shooter of all time right now. He scored, 40 points on 12 dribbles? Do you remember that? He has the highest points per dribble average in the NBA.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Bottom line, I mean, that's all these signings. It's like, the Bears with all these amazing offseason moves. It's all going to be proven on the court. I think Jason Kidd got the most out of a young team. They did need more spot up shooting because they didn't have the
Tim
I mean,
Hardaway was their corner threat. You're like, that's not going to do you anything.
No, Luka's great, and if Kyrie and Luka continue to jive, and now they have a guy like Klay, if Klay is Klay, they're dangerous.
Well, Klay Thompson plays his best with the guy that's going to control the ball and get him the ball where he needs to, which is why people were talking about Los Angeles. They did offer him more money than Dallas did, but why would you want to go to the brutality of Los Angeles Lakers right now if you can go to Dallas instead?
Yeah, Dallas just needs to be better on defense, even though they were really good defensively.
Klay Thompson, very good defender. Right? As long as the ACL holds up.
It's a good signing. It's a really good signing. If he's who he is, I think it works, and Dallas might be right back in it.
And mind you, too, before he injured his ACL, he was playing the best basketball of his career. After he did, it's been a reclamation project since then. So if he can get 80% of pre-torn ACL Klay Thompson, that might be the difference between,
it's like
winning
to
and
me,
losing.
It's like when Ray Allen went to the Heat.
Yeah, that's what they needed. That was the the Mavs were already in the finals. Yeah, they got smoked, but Klay Thompson goes off a couple games. Those 4-point games, the difference is that maybe you're in 6 or 7 games with the Celtics instead of 4. So I think it'd be good. I'm excited for that. A lot of other guys went to a lot of different places. James Wiseman got traded again, former number 1 overall pick. He got moved as well. But the Bulls are in an interesting scenario. This is what I was saying we're going to talk about. Giddey comes in, Caruso leaves. After that move happens, DeRozan's essentially a means to an end. He's getting flirted with the Miami Heat right now to team up with Jimmy Butler. That's a lot of mid-range shooting. But it seems to be finished with DeRozan in Chicago. I love him. I still think it's a good idea to get rid of him.
DeMar DeRozan deserves an opportunity to go compete somewhere, and that's not going to be in Chicago. So go somewhere you can compete and be a role player, which he is at this stage of his career. And maybe he goes to Dallas. Maybe he goes to
Miami,
the 76ers. Maybe Miami is a good fit. Somewhere where you can go be a nice addition to an already structured team with well-coached. That's what I believe DeRozan needs, because that's sure as shit not Chicago. And now there's reports I just read, sorry for my squirrel, looking like Levine and Lonzo might be packaged together to go somewhere. And some people are saying the Pistons may be interested. So
that's the only place you can do that. That's the only place you can do that. They're obviously blowing it up. They're going to let Buzelis come in. They're going to let Giddey shoot the ball. Kobe White's going to play well. Like, got to get rid of the other guys.
The worst thing the Chicago Bulls have ever done is get rid of Jimmy Butler and not build the team around Jimmy Butler. Yeah. And that has proven over time. And I said it for years, and I started saying it when we started this podcast. I mean, minus not giving Michael Jordan ownership of a team that he built and made great.
More years or didn't just cancel everything for fucking Doug Collins.
in the words of Kanye West, we should have never ever let Michael Jordan play for the Wizards. Okay,
it's true.
It is horrible. This team's, to your point, it's going to be absolutely blown up. Good. It needed to happen a long time ago. Maybe we get back to some sort of relevancy by doing this, but we need a true piece, and we don't have it.
A little crow and also explain the scenario. Zach LaVine obviously getting maxed out a couple years ago.
Didn't want it.
You were against it. I was like, fuck it. Like, we can use him at least as a trade chip in the future. Zach LaVine, that? Well, at the time when we signed him, plenty of teams wanted a guy that can play like that. Now, at an amount that it is, people are like, well, we don't have room for that. He's a guy that's probably 3rd or 4th piece on a championship team, and he is getting paid like a number 1 piece, and the only way we can get rid of him right now is trading him with a draft pick, which is like the opposite of what you want to do. Lonzo Ball has 0 value, so if you're going to package both of them together, we're giving them something else in advance too there. I am of the thought process is you get rid of DeRozan, you trade Vucevic because he's able to be traded as well. You hold on to Levine until somebody needs a shooter halfway through the season and drop him then. That's what happens.
Well, right. I agree. I think that's a good idea because you have to get value. You don't want to give up a potential addition piece to your squad or future squad for a guy who probably won't play on purpose. Say he needs to develop back from his injury or whatever the fuck it was, or surgery, or he's not a team guy. He never has been. He's a prima donna.
He's not liked in the locker room either. You can tell.
He's a douchebag.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Jimmy. Jimmy was a glue guy. He'd call you out. He was actually a teammate.
Yeah, he could also, depending on the culture, he can also be a fucking cancer too. I've heard that.
He can be, but
yeah.
Levine's a nothing. I mean, the guy doesn't make you feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
He's nothing. So
he doesn't prove it to anybody at any time. He's just like, I am who I am.
Vooch doesn't play defense. He's a one-trick pony, and you traded
can't make
Wendell
shots
Carter
anymore.
And you traded Wendell Carter for him, who's arguably one of the better big men in the league right now.
Yeah, well, smaller big men.
But
it was a stupid draft to get a 6'8" center. I thought that was dumb when they got him in the first place.
He's more of a power forward, but
but he plays the middle and can't shoot. That's the issue.
Yeah, he can rebound and pass well. So
yeah. Hey,
great.
News from the Boston Celtics, the current champion Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum makes 5 years, $314 million. The two highest paid players in the NBA, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum.
I'm sure he coined the phrase, "Show me the money, Jerry."
Yeah,
and used that as another pun to his long list of pun stealings.
He texted Kobe. He's like, "Got my money, Kobe," with the heart on it. Hopefully, he answers him. They can sign whoever they want. They won the goddamn championship. That's great. It's awesome. They're going to be good again this year. They might be good again in 2 years. Maybe it's going to be an issue, but right now, rose-colored glasses, everything is fine as can be on the hob.
They may get their 19th. You never know.
Could be.
So,
Should be, maybe. But it's a lot of money, man. 315 smackaroonies for 5 years. Okay.
We'll take a quarter of that for this podcast if anybody's interested.
Yeah, please.
We're in.
What's a quarter of 314?
I don't know. You got a calculator nearby?
I think a quarter of that's like 80 million.
Yeah, we'll take it. We're going to be valued at one day.
A quarter makes it seem small, but it's still so much money.
Telling you. One day.
Jesus.
Keep listening. We're going to the moon. Without us going to the moon, okay, we need you guys to get there. So
please,
once again, you know the drill. Subscribe, hit the bell, share it to a friend. You're the sibling. Share it to your brother. Share it to your sister. Share it to your sister from another mister. Brother from another mother, whatever that may be. And then always,
thank you for going on YouTube. We had a lot of views versus what we've had in the past, so I appreciate people watching on YouTube. Thank you.
We appreciate the YouTube watches as always because A, you get to see these beautiful watches, and B, you get more of the fun,
the vibe, the
vibe. This week we were looking like a couple of bros.
Yeah,
looking like a couple of SoCal. Vince coming in clutch this week with the reactions, which I love. More reactions to come. Please do not, Jason Pierre, Paul yourself this lovely
keep your
holiday.
Fingies.
Keep your Reginas and phalanges intact. And as always, we will see you next week.
Peace.
Talking Toes with Mike and Vince. Oh, jazzy beats while we dispense. Yeah,